here today.
It's been a long time since we've seen you. We saw you at Creature Feature last year when we did the panel discussion.
In August.
How's life been treating you since then?
Fine. Excellent, actually.
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, like we said, we're so stoked to have you. We've had quite a season this season of different Leatherfaces.
Yeah, we just chatted with Brett Wagner a couple weeks ago, who's a friend, and he's awesome. We love talking with him.
Good friend of mine, too. We go way, way back.
He told us that. He told us that in the interview. Yeah, he's a good guy, man.
So how was he as a bouncer? Were you a better bouncer, or was he a better bouncer?
What was the question? That was my old bro Pitbull's standard reply when he didn't want to answer a question. What was the question?
Well played.
So, RA, obviously fans know you best as playing Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3, and we got to talk to you a little bit about that last year in August, but the listeners here weren't really capable of being at that conversation. So we'd like to ask you some more questions about that. Specifically, how did you come across getting that role? Leatherface is an iconic role. It's a very physical role.
You want the publicity story or you want the real story?
I want the real story. Real story, please.
Always.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the publicity story first.
Okay.
Sure, we'll compare.
The official bio story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mihailoff moved to Hollywood with the intentions of becoming a movie star. He diligently pursued his career with student films and stage performances and acting classes. Over the course of many years, his talent shone above the others, and he was selected among thousands of applicants for the role of Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. That's the bio story.
And his talent rained down like the sunbeams from God himself.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all bullshit. Actually,
Excellent.
I did. I hit on a high mark though. When I moved to California, I did really move there with the intention of becoming a movie star. I wasn't choosy about genre, and a neophyte actor can't be choosy about genre. You take whatever comes your way.
Sure.
But I had read that there was a guy at the University of Southern California Film School. His name was George Lucas. You ever heard of him?
I think I've heard of that guy.
Not ringing a bell.
He made
not ringing a
Space
bell.
Wars or something.
He did Battlestar Star Trekia, right?
Star Trekia, I think that's it. Yeah.
His student film at USC was so good that they expanded it into a feature movie.
Was that THX 1138? Yeah.
Yes, and some unknown actor, Bob Duvall, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that guy. He's a character actor.
Yeah. Anyway, so my giant brain, I put two and two together in my giant brain, and I decided if I went down and did enough University of Southern California Film School student films for exactly zero, maybe that the casting ads always say copy, credit, and meals. Good luck with the copy. Credit's easy to give. It's just a little typing. And meals, maybe.
Right.
If you like cold pizza.
Sure. And for every 500 student films, there's maybe one George Lucas getting made. Were any of the student films you made actually good? Were there any that came out surprising? Yeah.
Actually, one of the first ones I did actually won the same award as George Lucas in whatever festival.
Wow.
So it was very good, and the two writers directors continue to work today. That would be Jeff Burr, director of Chainsaw 3, and Kevin Meyer, who just wrote a movie that I just saw. It's on cable today, 12 Mighty Orphans.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this explains to me why you've been in so many of Jeff's movies. So it goes all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And so my strategy obviously worked, or we wouldn't be talking.
Yeah,
sure.
And it actually put ducats in my pocket 4 different times, and I'm still friends with many of those student filmmakers today.
That's amazing.
Darren Scott was part of that group, and they just they did what was it? Tales from the Hood 3?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
With my good friend Tony Todd, who I saw over the weekend.
Yeah, I love
that
that Tony Todd has stepped into the narrator
yeah.
role in those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy that Clarence
Williams III.
Yeah,
Yes.
And I love that Tony Todd.
Hey, wait a minute. I got to call a halt right here.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
How come I know this shit and I'm not hosting the show?
That's why we have you on the show.
I don't know if you saw that big joint we were packing back and passing back and forth, but that's a lot of why I didn't know that.
Oh, is that? Oh, excuse me while I go get a beer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, man, get comfortable.
Yeah.
It's too early. If I started drinking now, I wouldn't even see the sun down.
Fair, same.
Fair enough.
So I guess another one of my questions regarding Chainsaw is we've heard consistently across the board that all Chainsaw movies are just kind of brutal on you during shooting. Like the production itself is just like really physically trying. I would imagine also being the heavy in it and having to carry a chainsaw and wear
Right.
like what looks like a really heavy leather apron.
Like when we talked to Briniarski, he talked about how difficult it was. We talked to Brett Wagner. Obviously, it was very difficult, physically on him. How was your experience?
Let me dispel that rumor
okay.
right from the get-go. By the time we got to my movie, we were signatory to the Screen Actors Guild.
The buck stops here.
Guild has many work rules in place for the protection and benefit of the
Sure.
actor.
Sure.
There is nothing on a movie set that is as arduous as some of the things I've done in real life. Okay,
Sure.
Mhm.
for a fraction of the money, carrying 5-pound buckets of hot tar up a ladder.
Ooh.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Just all kinds of shit like that. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves is when a bunch of fucking actors sitting around bitching about the conditions. Fuck you.
Right? Like you get to be
Yeah.
a movie star. Like why?
Making movies.
Exactly.
I applaud that.
But I'm gonna get a tattoo on my lower lip, right? It's gonna say "boo hoo." So when people are sitting around bitching, I can go "boo hoo."
I love it.
It's the greatest job in the world. I mean,
When you're working under the aegis of the Screen Actors Guild, you got life by the balls, man. They pay you, they feed you, they give you a little place to lay down and take a nap when you're tired. You have to have a chair. You have to have a chair with your name on it near camera.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Nobody
Yeah.
else is allowed to sit in it.
It's your chair.
Let me think. When's the last time I had a construction job?
Right. Right.
Where's my chair?
I've driven a full pouch of nails. I'm going to go sit down now.
Right. Exactly.
And people forget, too, most people who carry chainsaws have to work that full day probably chopping down trees or chopping logs with that chainsaw, actually working with it. You just have to pretend to kill people.
Yeah.
Exactly. When people ask that question, how difficult was it handling that saw? You pointed out. It wasn't like I grabbed that saw out of the back of my truck at 7:00 in the morning and bucked it till noon, took a half-hour lunch, and then bucked it again till quitting time.
Right.
Nothing like that. First of all movie making is hurry up and wait. That's why you have your chair by the camera, because you're going to be standing there with your thumb up your ass for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save the good stand-in for the camera,
Yeah. So, I mean, probably, well, for every hour of filming, you may actually work 10 or 15 minutes. I would, it was difficult for me to see in the mask because, so I'd hit my mark. I'd have to look down, and hit and a lot of the shit was after dark,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I probably need glasses.
You don't want to hear that before you hand a man a chainsaw.
Well, and this is a totally tangential question, but how do they set a mark at night? Like how do they set a mark in an outdoor setting for filming at night and still have it be seen?
Sometimes it's something as simple as a sandbag. Sometimes it's cut out tee from for lack of better description, like a floor mat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it in the studio, it's gaffer tape.
Sure. I knew that. I was always curious as to how they did it, like outdoors or at night.
And talking about the chainsaw, and obviously, you're not bucking it from 7 till noon, but how much heavier was the gold chrome chainsaw in comparison to a regular steel chainsaw or something like that?
A couple of years after I did the movie, I was visiting somebody, and their relatives were here from Utah, and the guy was actually a lumberjack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I asked him. He said the way the saw that I described, the Excalibur saw, would weigh about 80 pounds.
Wow.
That's heavy.
That's heavy.
it may be heavy for a normal human, but when you're the founder, president, and CEO of the Mutant Club, it ain't shit.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Was that you in the teaser of the movie too, when the saw comes out of the water?
Yes.
All Arthurian like.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, that was great. That is such an iconic trailer to me. I just love the.
Yeah.
And of course, it would be physically impossible for the saw to run like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So how do they do? Do you have a lighter dummy chainsaw for running scenes, or how do they do that?
In the course of the movie, I screen used 3 different chainsaws,
Mm-hmm.
and there were 3 different versions of each chainsaw. One was a fully operational, you could cut firewood if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Another one just had the chain, so you could have the motion. You could see it moving, but it wasn't as dangerous. And then there was a plastic replica of each one as well.
Okay.
Probably shouldn't tell this, but
Uh-oh.
if you watch the movie carefully, toward the climax of the movie, as we're going into the body pit fight,
Yeah.
Mhm.
when Benny tackles Leatherface, I'm pretty sure that was the stunt doubles, and they're using the plastic Excalibur saw. And if you look carefully, you can actually see the saw blade whip.
Yeah. Illusion broken.
There's someone listening that was like the end of their childhood just ended. Like hearing that story, like their childhood
Okay.
is now over.
Yeah, an angel just got their wings.
Yep.
Wow, yeah.
That's hilarious.
So the plastic ones, I guess, were they fitted with like smoke machines, so they just churned out a bunch of smoke while you ran?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to that.
That's
Just-
fair.
They're just like
Fair.
pointing a direction and you run and scare people.
Yeah, my goal was to get from Mark A to Mark B
Mhm.
without falling down.
Mhm.
Okay, tripping over something.
Sure.
So how much thought did you put into like the psychology of Leatherface, or how much of it was the performance of it, or was a lot of it just like physically, I just need to get from here to there?
Well, when I was in acting class, one of my teachers said, as you leave the mundane world and come into the fantasy world, as you start to put on your wardrobe, you begin to kind of like, I don't want to sound like mystical or anything, but you kind of begin to transform.
Sure, yeah.
I don't wear a leg brace in real life, so once I had the leg brace on, that would inform my movement.
Mhm.
Sure.
I don't run around with bloody hands too often, but
Depends if the weekend or not. Yeah.
well, it depends. So you start getting all that stuff together, and each layer kind of takes you deeper into it, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
When you come to work in a pair of motorcycle boots, blue jeans, and a black leather vest, and you kick all that stuff off and put the wardrobe on, you start to jibe with the character. So, but as far as psychological, no. It's like, Kane and I are very good friends, and he was the stunt coordinator on that movie.
Kane Hodder.
We'd do some crazy fucking scene, and the next thing you know, we'd be out there, doing fart jokes.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Well, speaking of jokes, one of my favorite, there's not a ton of jokes in all of these movies, but this one has one of my favorite Leatherface jokes when you have the speak and spell and it
Yes.
comes up with the clowns. Clowns are not food, or are they?
As far as my memory goes,
Mm-hmm.
and that my memory has been scoured by oceans of beer and bourbon,
Seasoned.
I don't believe that was written into the script. The head prop guy handed me the speaking spell. I said, "What the fuck you want me to do with this?" And he said, "I don't know, do something." So my giant brain,
The giant brain again. Yeah, it's always working.
quickly analyzed the situation and what would be the sickest fucking thing I could do. Find a picture of a little boy or a little girl. Food, right?
Food. FOOD.
Hell yeah.
But the reason I picked the clown, it was the only humanoid character in the whole library or whatever you want to call it.
See, that was just improv. That's great. See, there you go. That's psychological Leatherface right there. He sees that. He doesn't see what's wrong with that. He's like, "What? How is this possibly incorrect? I'm never going to pass this test."
Yeah.
That movie is also known for how many scenes were cut from the final cut? How many kills were cut? How much stuff did you guys actually shoot that didn't make the final cut? Because it's tough to even find deleted scenes.
Well, you know what? Jeff Burr would be a better person to ask that question to, because I just did, whatever was on, whatever we filmed that day, that was it. I mean, I think I sat in dailies once or twice the whole time. It's not my job to once I film my part, I don't need to, and not necessarily, and nor do I necessarily want to be concerned with where it goes. Yeah. I'm concerned with doing my work the best that I can, and then let the other film professionals in the chain of production do their job the best they can.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
I really have no idea what was cut. I do know that because of white-haired Jack Valenti and the Thought Police, the MPAA.
You're not lying.
Yeah.
They had to keep submitting it for, editing. And we actually lost our original release date.
Wow. Because of pushbacks, because of that.
Because of the problems with the MPAA.
Wow.
Our original release date was November 3rd, 1989. As you may or may not recall, it opened January, somebody just told me the other day, January 12th, 1990. And as you know, January is the dumping ground for stinkers.
Yeah, you don't want to be in January. So that's because you guys are slated for such a better time.
Well, as it was, even opening in January, we came in at number 11. There is no doubt in my mind, had we gotten made our original release date, we would have been absolutely in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We would have got that drafting from the Halloween season,
Yep, absolutely.
That was an unfortunate set of circumstances. That's
a boo-hoo moment.
Boo-hoo.
That's a.
But you still got to make a great movie, and fans still love it today. So, the movie has longevity, and that's sort of the beauty of some of these horror legacy franchises. And you said when you came to Hollywood and you started acting, you didn't have a preference for genre. You take what you get. Were you a horror fan growing up? Did you come to Hollywood already a horror fan, or did you become one?
No. That's an excellent question. No, I'm still alive, so I guess I am. I'm a lifelong horror fan.
Excellent.
When I was a kid, I used to sit in my room reading Famous Monsters of Filmland.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, going, man, how do you get to be the Frankenstein monster?
Right.
To be the werewolf, So that had a major influence on my career direction, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I sent away for the Dick Smith makeup book.
Oh, okay.
Me and my buddies, one of my buddies had his family had an 8mm camera, and I think it was 8mm. I don't know. I'm not a technician. I'm an actor. One of my buddies was the son of the town undertaker. So Pop gave us some mortician's wax.
Nice.
I already love where this is
We'd
going.
make scars and bullet holes and, crooked noses and all kinds of shit.
That's metal as fuck, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've interviewed a lot of people, and that's the single most metal thing I've ever heard anyone say.
Well, it's going to get more metal right now.
Fuck yes!
Guess what? Me and the same buddies would do on a summer afternoon.
Tell us.
We'd ride our bicycles up to Carpenter's Pond and go swimming for 2 or 3 hours. And then we'd stop at Carpenter's Meat Packing Company and we'd go into the walk-in cooler, grab a handful of raw hot dogs and go down on the killing floor and watch them kill animals.
Holy shit.
Wow.
What?
This is what you did for
You were
fun?
Look, man. That's the most metal shit I've ever heard.
You did not lie.
What? We just rode it. We got some hot dogs and watched some slaughter.
Now look. I had other buddies that were doing it too. They didn't turn. They didn't.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but were they also giants? I feel like that story combined with the fact that you're an enormous human being is probably why you're playing Leatherface.
Well, you had some background.
As a matter of fact, for the rest of this interview, I would prefer if you would call me Massive Mr. Mihailoff.
Massive Mr. Mihailoff.
Absolutely.
I'm a sucker for alliteration.
Now
so
we
I'll
know.
allow it.
Now we know the title of this episode.
No, I'm just kidding. But
So Jeff Burr, you also worked with him on Pumpkinhead 2 and Eddie Presley. Eddie Presley and Pumpkinhead 2 were also Jeff Burr films, right?
yes, Eddie Presley and Pumpkinhead too. Yes.
Yeah, and you were, I think, in the Asylum. Were you in the Asylum scenes when Tarantino was playing one of the...
Yeah.
Wow.
Bruce Campbell and Quentin Tarantino played the orderlies in that scene while I was going off my rocker.
Hell yeah.
And
What is Tarantino doing there? Was he? That was still when he was like, maybe I'll be an actor, kind of.
Quentin? No,
Yeah.
he'd already written. Let me think about this. I think he'd already written and filmed Reservoir Dogs, but it hadn't broke yet.
So this
Yeah,
is super early.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he did a lot of shit in between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction because he had to make money to make Pulp Fiction. And like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why he sold True Romance and Natural Born Killers. So
Makes
also,
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That makes sense that he would just take a bit role in there. Yeah.
that brings up a movie from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now you guys keep my toes to the fire on this one. Make sure I've got my facts right. But in Reservoir Dogs, there was a gag where they cut somebody's ear off, right?
Yep.
Okay. Bob Kurtzman of K&B Effects. I don't know if he did it personally or under the auspices of the company, but he traded that ear gag for Quentin to write From Dusk Till Dawn.
What? I don't know if that's true, but I absolutely want it to be.
It sounds
That
weird enough to be a
feels like
Tarantino
something that
story.
Quentin Tarantino would do.
Mhm.
It feels like he's like, well, I need this ear off, so
Yeah.
Because of the part that Tom Savini ended up playing was written for me.
What's it?
Sex
Sex Machine. Yeah.
yeah.
And they split the character. I was supposed to be the Sex Pistol, but then they split the character, and Fred Williamson played the other half of the character because that there was supposed to be a big fight between me and the bouncer of the strip club, but after too many ownership changed too many times and stuff
Sure.
like that.
It just got recast.
I'll never forget. I was at a party in Hollywood, and Bob Kurtzman came up to me. He said, "Hey, R.A., I'm working on this script. It's about a bunch of vampire strippers who prey on bikers and truckers and cowboys. And I'm having a part written for you."
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I did sign up. Several of us signed letters of intent, and of course, when it came time to do the movie, I couldn't find my letter of intent.
Oh no.
But it was beyond my reach by that point.
Yeah. The studios had taken it and were running with it, basically.
Yeah.
So to wrap this all up, you'd said before that you were born and bred horror fan. You love horror movies, so we got some fast horror questions for you. First off, favorite horror movie?
Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Oh, yeah.
Well said.
Yes. Finally, someone who just owns up and says their own movie.
Yes, I respect that.
Okay, and you know what my second favorite
Yeah, I'll take your
horror
second.
movie
Yeah,
is?
definitely.
The next one I'm going to do.
Ooh, I like that. This man
Nice.
knows his way around. He's the kind of guy when a genie asks him what he wants to wish, he's like 1,000 more wishes, like immediately.
Immediately.
Like no second
Yeah.
thought.
There you go. Well, no, because I never thought of that.
You would have though in the scenario. I can feel it.
Next question. Favorite horror villain, and I feel like I already know.
But let's say Leatherface is off the table for this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think about this for you a minute.
The giant brain. Oh my God, I can see the giant brain working.
It's wild.
Well, yeah. That's a kind of hard, man, because there's so many good ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the iconic characters, it's really hard for me to single out one. Let me get back to you on that. It may pop out of the
Okay.
back of my head.
Okay, let me give you a more specific one. You said earlier, you'd read Monsters of Filmland, you look at Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula. Who of the iconic original Universal? Who's your guy?
Probably, it would be a flip of the coin between Frankenstein and Wolfman.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great picks. Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance was always so amazing, and of course
Yeah.
Boris Karloff.
Yeah, but my favorite classic werewolf is Oliver Reed in what was the fucking name of that movie? Curse of the Werewolf.
Curse
I
the
think.
Werewolf. I was thinking I was a teenage werewolf, but that was Michael.
No,
that's Michael Landon.
That was Michael Landon.
Yeah.
He would be my favorite classical. That's my, because he was like blonde,
Sure.
Yeah.
And modern werewolf, I'd got to tell you, Dog Soldiers is pretty badass.
Yeah,
it is.
Oh, dude,
and
that's
it's
one of the best
so
ones.
underrated. Like,
Yeah.
And it's not like they just go full on like one great werewolf. By the end of that movie,
army
there's
of werewolves.
an army of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. They go full in. I
Yeah.
love it.
yeah.
There's a movie I want to see, but I'm too lazy. I don't have Netflix and I don't have any of that bullshit, and I can't watch it on YouTube or whatever. But there's a movie called Headhunter. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
We actually interviewed that director on this show before. It's a great film. Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's really it's not what anyone thinks it is. That's my favorite thing about it. Is no matter what you walk into it thinking you're gonna see, you're gonna be surprised in some way or another.
And it's set in the medieval time, right?
Well, it's kind of set in an ambiguous time.
I always saw him as like a Viking. Like it's a Viking type culture.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, that costume, that armor that guy wore is so badass, man.
So awesome.
And
And
there's
the
only-
practical effect heads on the wall, right?
Yeah. And there's only, I think, I used to know, there's only like 3 people in the entire cast.
Yeah, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Jordan Downey, who directed that film with cinematographer Kevin Stewart, and those are the same guys who made Thanksgiving, the Killer Turkey movie.
Well, yes, I read about that. I haven't seen
That's them.
that either.
They graduated from Killer Turkeys, and now they're making like medieval epic horror movies.
Yeah.
But that's just it. They made that movie for less than the cost of a TV commercial.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's the headhunter, there's the headhunter's daughter, there's the archer from the parapets.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in it?
That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty much puppets besides them.
Yeah.
The archer from the parapets was a crew member.
Uh-huh.
The daughter, the daughter, they recruited her from high school up in north central California. It's where those mineral deposits make those unworldly looking spires.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they recruited her from the local high school. So
Hell yeah. Well, I feel like after we interviewed Jordan, I got a real feeling that he and his production partner, when they were doing Headhunter, they learned how to do that by doing all like these shitty horror movies like 10 years before then, like Thanksgiving and the sequel. They learned how to make movies on such a tiny budget, and that's like it was really like second film school for them to make those movies. So like it's inspiring to know that like they knew exactly what they were doing the whole time and making those kind of shittier movies, that they were working to make Headhunter, and it's fucking
it's inspiring.
masterpiece.
It's a great film, very unique.
those previous movies, like you pointed out, were their film school.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'd like to see them get a bigger budget and do a sequel. And
Hell yeah.
man, I'd like to be in it.
Well, I mean, it would be fantastic. They've clearly built a larger world and then told a very intimate, singular story, right? But there's a vast world that they've implied, there. So I'd love to have them explore it more. I think they deserve it because the first one was really, really good. Somebody should give them money. I don't know who, but somebody.
Somebody should.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
And I guess that kind of like this next question. So Headhunter aside, what is a recent new horror movie that you've seen that impressed you?
A recent new horror movie that I've seen that impressed me. What was the question?
Fair.
We just got bounced out of our own show.
Let me get back to you on that. I have to I have to think about that.
Yeah, either in theaters or on streaming. There's so much now.
I don't have any of that shit.
Oh, you
I
don't do
respect,
streaming. Okay,
which
cool.
I respect, because that shit is so expensive.
It's not a question of cost. It's just I don't give a fuck. I want to watch, like when I'm watching TV, I want it live, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thought of watching Netflix bugs me.
And that's one thing I love that Joe Bob Briggs has brought back to the Shudder app, which is a streaming service, is he releases his show first live. And it's like you have to be there when it airs on Friday nights, and you can't stream the episode again until like the following week or Sunday or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I think there's a lot of people who still respond to that, like you got to be there, and if you weren't there, you missed it. That kind of thing.
Right. I don't even like to record shit and watch it later.
Mhm.
That's fair.
You know, if it's important, you'll be there to see it.
Yeah.
I feel
If
that.
it's,
Yeah.
if it's important to you, make the time to see it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
to be there.
So, what was the last movie you saw in theaters?
Oh boy, been a while. I wanted to go see Northman, but I
Oh,
keep
Oh,
forgetting.
it's
man.
so good.
Epic.
I keep
epic.
forgetting to go.
It's so good.
Worth it. Worth it.
Yeah, it really is. Robert Eggers is another director that really put his time in before he started directing, like really learning the craft, and like his movies are just
It's like the devil's really in the details with Robert Eggers. I mean, he's about museum replicas. He's about historical accuracy, like that. He's about story, but then those things are as like equal importance to him. I think with his films.
yeah. So definitely go as soon as you can. Go see The Northman.
Oh, man, it's epic.
Worth it.
Truthfully, I really want to see it. I just keep forgetting to go.
Heard.
Another movie I feel like you would fit in right in there with that cast. That would have been a great one.
Yeah. Well, how about that show Vikings?
Hey, definitely.
And
Yeah.
don't even get me started about Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you're not on Sons of Anarchy.
That is a correct statement on your behalf. Here's a little story.
Hell yes, here for it.
So, you know, my daily habit when I was in Southern California, I'd go to the world famous Gold's Gym in North Hollywood, California, brother, hanging and banging, crashing and bashing. Then I'd,
Brother.
yeah, brother. Then I'd drive down from North Hollywood to the Vons in Burbank.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd light up a cigar on the way, and I'd sit in the parking lot smoking a cigar before I went shopping. And one day, and it's right over by Warner Brothers Studio, so there's a lot of showbiz folks, right? One day, a friend of mine came by and he says, "Hey, RA, you get the breakdowns, and actors aren't supposed to do it, but you know they do." And I said, "No, I don't." Why? He said, "There's this biker show coming on. They're casting this biker show called Sons of Anarchy. You got to get your people in, you know, to get you in."
Yeah.
So I called my manager, my manager at the time. Let's be very specific about that. My manager at the time, who shall remain nameless. And I called that individual up and I said, "Hey, they're doing this biker series. Would you check into it?" Well, right then and there, he got on the breakdown service, and the only thing that was listed that particular moment was a 7-Eleven type clerk. You know, "Hello, my friend. Can I get you a Slurpee?"
Gotcha.
You know?
Okay.
I just assumed. Remember what I said? I do my job, and I expect other people to do their
Sure.
job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I expected him to do his motherfucking job, pick up the phone, pitch me as a must-see for this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Negatory. Never heard nothing back from him about it. Never heard more about it. I watched the series premiere. I fired him the next day.
Oh, I would too.
Yeah. That's like right where you belong.
Yeah, I mean, Mayans
Yeah.
is still filming, right? Like, you still have
Huh?
Isn't Mayans, the spinoff show, still filming?
Yes, I was actually watching it last night, and they're dealing with the Suns again.
You got to get on Mayans,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, well, I would be a Son. I wouldn't be a Mayan.
Well, I know,
Sure,
but
but you
like,
could be a
you
side
got to get on
character.
Mayans. Like,
Or a
It-
side
it-
character, you know?
yeah.
Even though I did a movie with Emilio Rivera.
Oh, really?
Which movie was that?
Yeah,
What
and
movie?
we played bikers. He was the president of my bike club.
Really?
Which movie was that?
It's called Ride Hard, Live Free.
Oh,
It
yeah.
hasn't-
Okay, cool. I saw that on there.
it ha-
Yeah.
It hasn't come out yet, but
Okay.
we shot it up. You know, in the desert by Pahrump, Nevada,
Mhm.
and we actually worked with a real 3-piece patch club.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow. Interesting.
Yeah, the national president of the club was our technical advisor.
Huh. For realism.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it was pretty cool. And the executive producer of the movie ended up joining the club.
What?
oh, wow.
Really?
That's like the real biker, like the
So he was like, cut, that's it, wrap, and then he got on his bike and rode off into the sunset.
Yeah,
gotta be free
What?
now.
Well, he was he'd known the guys forever, and he was a member of another club, so he just patched over. But I'll never forget when this thing was coming together. Right? You want to hear this story?
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
So Judy calls me up one day and she says, "Hey, I'm pitching you for this biker movie." And I said, "Well, that's right in my wheelhouse. Thank you."
Yeah.
So as things are going on, they're showing some interest, and as things are going on, she's keeping me updated. Yeah, the director's really, he's a really nice guy. He lives in Las Vegas, and they're going to shoot it up in the desert and stuff like that, and back and forth. So finally, the deal gets made. They send me the script, page 17. Interior Sconers Motorcycle Club clubhouse night. Okay. Ooh, I get to that line and I'm about ready to drop out, because Sconers is the name of the club we worked with in the movie, is a real motorcycle club. Okay.
All right.
So, and I knew they had I didn't know much about them, but I knew they had a big presence in Las Vegas. So my giant brain works a lot. My giant brain, fast forward to the scenario, I'd be out there with a bunch of fucking pussy actors pretending to be bikers, and then the real 20 or 30 real sconers would roll up and teach us the facts of life. Okay. No, I don't care how much money it was. That ain't worth it, right? So I called Judy and said, do these people know that they're using, because here's what I thought, the director's from Las Vegas, the Sconers are from Las Vegas. This is the vision I had. The director and his wife are, riding up whatever the main boulevard there, right?
Yeah.
And the Sconers are outside of a bar, right? Hey, honey, pull over. Let me get a picture of those jackets. They look real neat in my movie.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I called Judy and I said, do these people know they're using a real bike club in their movie? She goes, I don't know. Let me find out. Couple hours later, she calls back. She says, it's okay. They have permission. The executive producer is a member of a motorcycle club as well.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like I said, he ended up patching over to the Sconers.
So it ended up being all right.
I feel like that was a legitimate fear, though. Like that makes sense to me that you would be.
Yeah, you don't fuck around with MCs.
No.
Certainly not.
There's a famous interview with Hunter Thompson after he spent his time with the Hells Angels, and then wrote his book the Hells Angels, where he basically exposes all of the dirty shit the Hells Angels were doing. And there's a famous interview of him on the Dick Cavett show or something, or maybe Jack Parr. He's sitting there, and the president of the Hells Angels rides his motorcycle onto the stage and just starts circling Hunter Thompson. And the fear in Hunter Thompson's face is so real, where he's like, this dude is going to murder me on
As
live
it should
TV.
be. He should be afraid.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think about when you tell that story, that no, you don't want to cross a real motorcycle club. That's a bad idea.
No, those guys, they will die for that patch.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a world I like to be around, but I can't be totally immersed in it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Right. Do you feel like your time spent doing that is beneficial to you as an actor? I mean, you're going to bring that sort of knowledge that you've taken from them into future biker roles.
Everything I've done in my life is beneficial to my acting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every experience short of dying is beneficial to your acting.
It doesn't kill you, make you stronger. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's amazing. All right. Thank you so much for
man.
taking the time to chat with us. This was really fun.
You are truly the most metal guest we have ever had on this show, hands down.
That's kind of weird, because I listen to country western music.
Oh, I believe that.
That's okay.
It's very organic that you're this metal. You can't try to be this metal.
Metal's a state of mind.
It is.
Not just a genre of music.
I listen to blues too.
There you go. That's strangely also a very metal genre philosophically, I believe.
Well, yes. Thank you so much for being with us, man.
Yeah. I think we'll be probably seeing you at some local conventions, because I think you said you might be coming out here pretty soon.
No doubt. I just saw Craig from
Creature Feature.
Creature Feature. I saw him over the weekend.
Oh, very cool.
Great guy.
Well, we'll be back there as well. Hopefully we'll see you then.
Like I always say, have booking, we'll travel.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, we will come up and say hi when we see you there.
All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks
All
so
right,
much.
brother.
All right. Have a
Later.
good day.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I had a blast.